Very nice.
Wait, so Shauna, what are you doing?
We're recording. We're recording.
I don't care.
So I'm camping. I'm actually going to go do this from my tent.
Laura loves camping.
We are saying goodnight to the
campers.
Good night to the campers. Now that you guys all cursed in front of them.
We scare them?
Our kids.
You guys totally scared them.
Well, how old are they?
4 years old.
No,
she's a bunch of preschoolers.
14 to 17. 14
Oh,
to
come
17.
on.
we go.
Please. I scared them. They scare me.
Take it off.
You scare me.
I don't know. I've looked at their proficiencies. They scare me.
Oh, these are girls
good
from
transition.
Chatham. So
And
Chatham and Kent's Place.
All right. So,
is everybody's
Man.
beer full for this episode?
I went to Sterling. I didn't actually. I have not. You guys are just luscious. I had one beer tonight. I went to Sterling House. The ribs. Have you guys gone there and had the ribs?
You mean the Sterling Hotel?
Yeah, it's really good.
Sterling.
Yeah, I don't eat meat.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, I forgot Laura's weird that way.
Yeah,
Wait,
that
are
is
you
weird.
serious? You don't eat meat?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't eat meat.
Why am I? Well, okay. Maybe I knew this before.
And she doesn't look like. She doesn't come across as the kind of person that doesn't eat meat.
What the hell does that mean?
Hey,
I mean, the person, you're not like, you don't wear beads, you shower. I mean, I'm gonna get all
I
these.
feel like that's very
emails.
stereotypical.
Yeah,
I know. I'm
assuming we have
sorry
an
to
audience.
all the vegetarians and shit.
No, listen.
Of
I
those
can
millions of
clarify this
viewers.
for everyone. The hardest part about being vegan is keeping it to yourself.
Yeah. John Paul, you have to issue an
I
apology
fucking
tomorrow, by the
tolerate
way.
his jokes.
Yeah, you
All right.
love them. You love them.
All right. Yes. All right. So, John, are you? Oh no, you're not frozen. All right, so let's get started.
I can't see Shauna now, too.
Well, she's
shit.
in a tent, man. So she's like in the Blair
Shauna's
Witch
like
Project.
very
She did too
Blair
much
Witch.
movies.
Shauna's jumping over campfires
I'm
and
here.
doing chants.
I'm here. I just got to get set up in the tent.
Guys, this is already
Are
a
you
shit
in-
show. Can we have some coherency
Are
here?
we recording yet?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been recording for the last 5 minutes. This is a fucking nightmare.
Half hour.
I'm gonna get. Can I get started, please?
Stop cursing. We're going to have a
Aye.
curse jar. We'll donate
Yeah,
to
There is
charity.
no I in BHCW.
Holy shit, man! This is so annoying, yo. You're
All
all
right, guys,
drunk.
good job.
I
All
know.
right, literally
Good to
like
have you.
ready. 3, 2, 1, action.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the fucking BOE meeting, which was packed with a bunch of horse shit. And I guess we're gonna cover like topic to topic. I feel like I've been just kind of going off, like just kind of vomiting my annoyance over the last 2 days. So I'm just gonna let somebody else start. So I'm gonna say the thing I want to talk about today is the proficiencies, the ratings, and the rankings, which I cannot believe Dr. Varley or the superintendent and the BOE majority's reaction to Tom Foregger. I honestly cannot believe that's how they reacted, but I'm not going to start. I'm just going to say how pissed off I am. Who wants to start with whatever it is that they want to fucking talk about? Go ahead, Todd.
So yeah, utterly pathetic is I think the best way to say it. I mean, what closet are they living in that they don't know that the state rankings were released and we are going down? I mean, it was really disheartening to see how they tried to tell Dr. Foregger that basically he didn't know what he was talking about. Now, could he have said state rankings? Sure, maybe. But really, guys, really? Are you all in that closet so deep and so dark that you have no clue as to what the entire public has or is seeing? And for them to like shadow around it, and then the bullshit about, I'm going to abstain because I don't have adequate info. Well, Pam, like, why was she even like, what does it mean to abstain? Really, Pam? How long have you been on this board? Like, seriously, how long have you been on the board? So enough is enough. Like enough of the games. Like, it was appalling that they couldn't actually do their job, which they work for us, and hold the administration accountable. Like,
What happened?
disgusting.
So
What happened?
Real quick summary about the segment he's talking about. What do you mean they shut down Tom Foregger?
So Tom,
Go ahead.
2-minute brief.
So about several weeks ago, the state of New Jersey released a report on proficiencies that hadn't come out since before COVID. So the report stopped once
Wait,
COVID
can I
hit.
just pause right there? So wouldn't you
Okay.
think a board of ed member or a superintendent would pay attention to when the state releases the rankings? I mean, just
So-
look.
so these
I-
were
I-
This
state
is going to be the
rankings.
most fucked up episode ever.
It
So
was,
wait,
it was state
guys,
rankings.
we need to have some
Sorry.
coherency. All right.
I feel like
So
Todd's here.
this is the first report that's come out, and I think in 2 years. We talked about this last year in terms of proficiencies. So I think so there is a couple of mistakes that Dr. Foregger made, in my opinion. The first mistake that he made was he didn't go in there with the exact source, because they were going to feign ignorance. You need to go in there like you're a fucking prosecutor needing to convince a jury that they just won't work with him. And even if he had the exact reference, they would have voted the same way. They almost panicked when he brought it up. It was the strangest thing to see. And then what? So he asked that. So this new report came out, and I have to compare this year to the last report. But regardless of whether we went down from that report or not, and I believe we did. I do believe we did. It's not so much the rankings and the ratings that are important. Those are important for property values. I think what's more important, I think I sent you guys the emails, right, is actually the numbers that drive it. And that's where Gale really pissed me off. Because as a quote unquote, she's a former teacher, vote for her, right? She should fucking.
We're getting
I
crazy.
don't know. These were all the people that saw, PB&J, whatever that fucking was, talking about how Gale was going to be this incredible voice that she that she kind of so she ran with the ratings and rankings. They fluctuate all the time. So that's Tom's fault for bringing it up, to framing it that way. The more important information is the data behind that. And if you look at Hughes and Mountain Park and GL and even CMS, who Varley said was really look at Algebra 1 at CMS. We're at 66%, I think. Like, there's no school that's doing incredibly well in our district. And so it was the most bizarre scene where they tried to pretend like they were hearing the community, at the same time trying to defend the numbers. Varley was. It's COVID, like no other district had it. It's AP students giving up as if no other school has AP students. So at the same time, she knows what Tom's talking about, because she's using the same excuses she used last year. And then at the same time saying, I don't know what you're talking about. What report? I mean, it was the most fucking bizarre thing I have ever seen. And the sad thing is, if you really don't know it, it would come across as if, I don't know. I mean, it still looks stupid. Even if you don't know what they're talking about, they looked like morons. So I don't know if that was a clear update to you, John.
Oh, no, listen, they tried
Thank you.
so hard to mask it. And like Robert saying, well, I don't have the information for this. I'm going to have to abstain. Like, you have to come to this meeting and say, well, first of all, they were even questioning him, Tom, why he was bringing this up. It was fucking during new business. He had every right to bring it up at that point, like literally. And for them to not even acknowledge it, including Gale, who, again, it's a total farce. It's an absolute fallacy that she thinks that she's there to protect the teachers. Like, she has voted in ways that have harmed the teachers.
No, you know what it is? I actually buy it. I think my feeling is, I think there's some kind of deal with the union. And I mean, I'm going to, so I think, Shauna, you kind of brought this up the other day, which I think is good, is like, Gale is basically voting against her logic when she starts going into 15-minute speeches about how she's going to vote. What a disappointment.
Before she actually votes.
What a complete disappointment that was. I mean, the votes on the budget, the votes on the OPRA custodian, and then, like, you basically have a report. Like, so Tom said it in the most non-accusatory way. I just want the superintendent to report on this. And they just went ballistic. It was like this panicked, feigned confusion about something that this town has been talking about for a month. It was really out of control. I'm sorry, Shauna, go ahead.
No, they did. They freaked out. It was kind of funny, though, because on the subject of Gale and like how she tries to justify stuff, I found it kind of humorous that at the end of the meeting, when Robert actually, he made a good point. I was agreeing with Robert. Tom agreed with Robert. It was kind of amazing.
No, don't believe it.
Yeah. No,
What?
it happened. It happened because he said, why are we doing this presentation for 504s and it's being given by a lawyer? And it's supposed to be, it's using ESSER funds. The ESSER funds are supposed to be for mental health, but they're having a lawyer give a presentation on training staff to work with kids with 504s. And that somehow, he says, I don't see how this is a great tie into mental health.
Well, he must
Which
have
was
been
a
slapped
great-
for that. He must have been
Oh.
slapped for that. It's like, shut up. We're using these Sarah funds for whatever we want. Don't you know, you stupid?
Hey, wait, weren't the ESSER
I mean,
funds
these are Dr.
like,
Greer's
catching up
funds.
kids
You
from
could, you know.
COVID, and, like the after-school program?
What?
What the hell? What
Yeah,
do you
so-
mean mental health?
Look, hold on real quick. ESERA funds, just to clarify, those were the strings that were attached to the COVID bailout money to the school.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they were very specific to social programs. I think the money that went to DEI, it was basically to advance certain agendas. I mean, it was pretty clear, right? So now he's saying, oh, wait, why do we use it for that? And they're like, shut up.
But hold on, they
then-
literally said the ESSER funds were funding the after-school supplemental learning since the pandemic started. Am I wrong about that, or is that correct?
Some of
Like,
them went
only
there
the after-school programs that have been going on for basically.
beyond the school day.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lord. Yes, that's it. Wasn't that
Yeah, what
ESSER
after-school programs are those? Can I get clarity on that?
beyond
So,
the school day? Math and reading.
The ones that
it's
we've had
extra-
in Wood. I mean, when we were in Woodruff, we had those programs already.
No. This started post-pandemic last year.
It's extra help.
Carried on to
But-
this year.
But the bigger
Jump up,
point,
right.
so Robert has this, epiphany or whatever you want to call it. He's actually correct.
Yeah, because the
And-
election's coming up, and all of a sudden
He's
they're going to
dumb.
act different. But go ahead, Shauna.
But Gale she can't, instead of saying, oh, hey, great idea, let's look at this, immediately jumps in with Varley and starts siding with Varley on why this is the way we should do this. And I was like, what is she doing?
No spine.
So, so she actually, and because I'm in the middle of the woods, I don't have my notes, but she's siding with Varley and she's saying something like, well, but it's 504s, this is, God, I wish I could, you know what? Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I don't know. Like Gale doesn't necessarily. I don't. So my feeling is that Gale is under some sort of impression that she has to give in to Varley on everything to sort of make a deal with her. And I'm going
Okay.
to just tell you that a lot of teachers aren't happy with Gale either. I mean, at least the
So-
ones that I've spoken to. So I don't know who
Here-
Gale thinks she's helping
Well,
out there.
Here's what she
it's-
said. She said, but 504s are legal documents, which is in trying to
Oh
justify
my
why a
God.
lawyer's doing this.
She's
She
got to
says,
be
but
kidding me, man.
504s
Are
are
they
legal
not?
documents. And then Varley says they are legal documents. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So they're not. 504s are
Absolutely.
not legal documents?
Well,
The school
they are,
district
but
They're
has a legal document.
component.
Every
But
piece
then-
of paper in a district is a legal document,
so
right? I mean,
here's
you
the
can frame
funny part,
everything that
though.
way.
Well,
So
except-
when they're
except for-
talking about these are all legal documents, so then Robert says, so it's legal training.
Okay, so except for ethics laws.
Right,
they're
but
not- they're
Robert's
not legal.
right. But Rob,
was
you
right,
know,
yeah.
that's right. You know,
So that went right back to his point that this isn't about mental health, it's about legal training. It was awesome. There we go. Turn that back on.
well, I'll tell you, I think the reason why a lawyer's running is because at this point the lawyer has there are so many people, with the exception of 2 or 3, that are so compromised legally that essentially we're at a point now where a lawyer has to run the district. That's kind of where we're at with the Board of Education, I feel.
That's messed up. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's my
No.
opinion, man. I'm not saying that's a fucking fact. I'm just saying that's
No, but
kinda-
even the thought is like so disturbing.
Right.
I mean,
Uh,
Gale ran on, I'm an educator. I can do this. I have this background. And then, I mean, she has done the teachers no good. I'm sorry.
yeah. I hope people really love what's going on. I mean, like I don't know like what this election is going to look like, but I have no idea what people are going to sort of defend in terms of what this Board of Education has done. You'd have to have a complete intellectual acrobatic sort of like weird fucking yoga thing to come to some sort of conclusion that Joy and Robert deserve any sort of re-election.
You'd
You know,
have to
and
be a
I'm
vegetarian.
going to tell you the play. So Gale, Pam,
Did you
and
say you'd
Angela,
have to be a vegetarian?
I did. With beans.
Gale, Pam, and Angela are going to be the no votes all the time because their elections are a year to 2 or 3 years away, right? They're recently elected. Robert and Joyce play from now on are going to be abstain or reluctance, no's. You know, they're gonna pretend like they're opposing. You know, Varley. You know, on safe votes, but on the budget. What did I do?
Well, it was funny.
I
know
can
what-
see Todd.
it
No,
all.
I just,
Todd now.
look, dude, I went
Yeah.
blurry and then I came back. I mean, I don't know. Like the computer's telling me how I feel, I guess. I'm not sure.
So what was funny to me is when they were voting, when they were going to table the vote, and
Oh my
everybody
God.
decided that was a good idea. But even when everybody else around her had decided it was a good idea to table the vote for the COPAS position, the superintendent's recommendation, it was like Pamela couldn't make that shift. She had in her head it was supposed to be a no, and everybody else is saying yes, and she's like, no.
So going back to voting, let me just get this one straight, because this is the most egregious thing they've done, is that Tom brings up and says the school ratings are slipping. They say, oh, what are you talking about? He says, well, there's some data that suggests it's slipping. I don't know what it is. So
He forgot what it was. He knew what it was.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But they all were like, so let me get this straight. They said, the people who opposed it, so not Tom and not Dipti, but everybody else said, well, we don't have enough information to discuss this. So nobody suggested bringing it up to the board to discuss it. They just ignored it.
But that's what Tom was asking for. Tom was basically asking for a presentation to get more information. And
I mean,
they said
they
they wanted more information,
this
but yet they
intent.
threw it in the committee.
They were upset that he did not come with like documents to hand out.
If that isn't the most telling
Do you
thing
remember the last
ever,
time he gave out documents during last year's budget?
Oh,
Yeah.
my
They
God,
shit in
didn't
their
want to
pants.
do two of them.
I mean, I thought that half of them was going to have to go to the emergency room because he gave out fucking handouts about I forget what was the price per pupil last year. Where's Shauna? What happened?
we lost
She'll
one.
be back. She'll be back.
Man down.
Blair Witch. I saw it right before she went
Yeah.
away.
Get the
I
tent
did.
was
I
waving.
thought I
The
saw a
tent was
little
moving.
sticker hanging in the background.
Oh my
Are we
God,
okay?
JP, I can see you. Oh
Do-
my God.
Wait,
Oh,
do we have
nice.
enough people to continue? Do we
Yeah.
have a,
Of course.
I'm
I mean,
here.
I think we have like 1.5. 3 of you are sloshed.
they're barely making one person. We don't have a quorum. We
I'm
can't
not.
continue.
Give me a break.
Oh, we're good.
All right, we're back up to 2 people now.
Hey guys, just real quick on the budget.
What's
Sorry,
that?
what's Oh, that's
Oh,
township.
yeah, we spent a school- yeah, I thought it was 57%. Thanks.
56.
Yeah. Everyone
it's
listening to this
56.1?
understand that your tax bill,
It's
57%
all
or 56 according to that chart,
54.
56%
goes
all
to
the
the
schools.
schools.
1% library was at 18% municipality, 25% county. Did I get those numbers right? Yep.
Yep.
That's it. Schools blue.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
colorblind,
And,
it's the part of
all-
it.
not just the color. All right,
And this
so
is- and by the way, this is on the township website. Who's happy to provide that information? Who's like, it's them.
all right, so let's go to the OPRA. Let's go to OPRA Custodian. Laura, do you want to talk about that?
No.
Okay.
Sure. What you want me to give an overview?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So for people who have been living under a rock, a few months ago, Steve Hopkins was
Did all of the
appointed- Donna, what the hell? I can't
Laura.
do this. Okay. Steve Hopkins was appointed records custodian to help with the workload for Julie Cott, who just simply couldn't handle it. Although the last 3 emails I've written to her, I've gotten an out of office reply because she's on vacation. So not sure about
she
that.
does that?
But she works 24/7 according to Dr. Melissa. I don't know my ass from my head, Varley.
On vacation during budget season.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, so what we have noticed since Steve Hopkins has taken over as records custodian is that there seems to be a standard 5-week extension for any request that you make. And his excuse is that he is busy with his other work in the district, which I agree he should be busy with because this is either direct or indirect time that he's spending with students or educators. However, under the OPRA law, the Sunshine Act, it's called, those are not reasonable or legitimate excuses for an OPRA extension. So I had written to the board, and not a lawyer, but I think that his excuse that he's now offering up to people who are asking is going to set the district up to be in a worse off position than we were, because you can't just have a standard 5-week extension.
This is a big deal. Like if we interviewed an OPRA lawyer, not a lawyer, but a lawyer who deals with a lot of OPRAs, and 5-week extensions, standard extensions, is not a norm. That's supposed to be an exception all throughout the state. So
yeah,
so
but
to
what
say
they're
that
doing, is creating they're creating like a backlog. And so like
They're
as hard as
manufacturing a
he's trying, as hard as he's trying, he still can't get to a legitimate backlog. Like he's trying really hard. Like in order for this to work, in order for you to do this, you need someone who competently knows how to do this. Like if you're gonna fuck people over, at least get somebody who knows how to do it. Like this guy is making mistakes from left to right.
Like turn that into a shirt.
He shows his hand. He shows his hand by sending out scheduled email. Like so, he sends me an email saying, "Oh yeah, I had this scheduled 30,000 days, figuratively, from where I was supposed to send it. I'm sorry." And then he goes and uses the argument of like, I'm inundated with 15, and then went to 12. In his argument to me, I don't know what this Hopkins record custodian, total joke.
Pick up that.
Shauna's brushing her teeth. Okay.
Shauna's definitely in Blair Witch now. Oh my God, Shauna. Okay,
that sign is too funny.
So here's the
sign
thing.
is hysterical, by the way.
Also, if you think about it,
Wait,
I hope you guys all saw my sign.
Todd has to say something so that we can see the sign.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think this says it all. Really?
Did you wait? You actually printed that out?
Wait, what?
That's a lot of work.
Home office, baby.
He went to the library to print it out. He doesn't have a printer. But he went
That
to the
11-cent copy.
Okay, real quick. But the whole thing was that COT didn't have enough time to do records custodian, so they gave it to somebody else who's just as burdened with other jobs in the district. So all they did is they shifted it and said, well, he's going to take it over, and we're going to pay him a little more. They gave him a raise. So all it was is a raise.
No, what it is them slowing down record releases because there's shit coming down the radar. There's shit coming down the radar that they know they're trying to slow down either until there's something going on that they're trying to delay, and there's a lot of stuff that's just inevitable. We already know it's inevitable. There's already a few things that we're very aware of that are just inevitable at this point.
Well, because their point doesn't make sense that, she's overburdened, so we're going to give it to another guy that's already overburdened.
It's never been about the Oprah volume. It's been about hiding shit that has,
And by the way,
piece of it, I think also is probably on some level. Well, I'm not going to even get into that.
Okay,
but...
well, speaking of Oprah burden, we compared this to the township, and I swear, if I hear that, it's not an apples to apples comparison. It is, because it's one person with much less staff. And by the way, they were
the town doesn't have a dedicated Oprah custodian. The town doesn't have that.
And township gets Oprahs for not just records in town, but real estate records and everything else at the building department. They get Oprah records for about nearly a dozen different categories, where school is school Oprah. But so it doesn't make any sense.
Is stuff that they talked about, like the correspondence was a 5-week extension on correspondence that I requested 4 days after it was talked about at the BOE meeting. Why does it take 5 weeks to go to Julie's desk and say, "Can I have that shit that you were talking about at the meeting?"
So they definitely are sitting on it. Yeah, because township will provide it right away if they're working on the minutes from the meeting.
Right.
If they're there. If you take 5 weeks, you're putting in archives, and then you have to go dig it up again. So you've actually made yourself more work.
They're creating problems, and there doesn't need to be.
No, we are.
No, they're creating problems. Because really, this is a theater to slow things down. Like this. They are. I think they're very, very scared. They're very, very nervous about a lot that's going on, and I mean, they've been scared, and instead of working with it, I think everybody in town would back, like, all this shit that's going down would die down if they just simply admitted, like, hey, we fucked up, let's work together.
Language.
We're gonna drop the shit on the stuff on Psy.
He can't help himself.
And yeah, I have issues, children. I'm talking to the campers. We're gonna drop this stuff on site. It's already 70% of the way thrown out. We're gonna open up. We're gonna comply with OPRA. We're going to open up the budget. We're going to create policies and procedures that are going to require family input in big changes. You know, we're going to do the normal things that we should be doing. Everything would go away, I think. Go ahead, Todd.
So I hear what you're saying, but you know, when we listen to their reactions to Dr. Foregger, and when he was literally trying to say, people in the community are talking about this, do you feel that they think people in the community is us and that there's no one else talking about this? Because
no. Well, and they shouldn't, because I'm going to tell you, man, people are
shouldn't. But I feel like in the way that they handle Dr. Foregger's response, and you know, it goes back to Varley telling them don't put anything in your emails because they will OPRA your email.
Yes, that was crazy.
Yeah, don't forget about that. That's right.
No, she does that. That's theater. What she's trying to do is get that email OPRA'd so it looks like they. I mean, man, this playbook comes from, I'm not going to mention her name, but this is the same old playbook that's tired and predictable that's been going on in this town for 10 years. And it's just not working anymore. You know, that doesn't work when your proficiencies are going down, when your per pupil costs are going through the roof, when parents are getting pissed. Forget proficiencies and per pupil cost, but you know, all this other shit, language is getting cut. You know, children's information getting leaked. You know, social media comments being locked out.
I just want to put it out there and say, anyone who's watching this, like, speak up,
far away.
because it's not only us. We know all of you are feeling this, and we need the help, or your children need the help, because this district right now is not on a good path. And everyone in this town moved here for the schools and are paying the taxes that we pay for the schools. Let's be honest. It's a commuter town. Yes, you could go right next door for a commuter town as well and get a lot better school district. So really, it's not just us, but I feel like they are playing that card, and I could be totally wrong, in my opinion, that they literally think that those who are frustrated or angry are, you know, it's us, it's maybe us plus 10. It's only 15 people, because they keep hearing.
Well, I'm frustrated and angry because I can't find the latrine, so now I have to just pee in the woods.
Can we turn your camera off for that?
Wait, can we get that on tape?
No.
Do you have a solo cup?
Love John Paul.
I'm good.
Okay.
So I honestly haven't, like, the only time I was as angry as I was last night.
You were scary angry.
I was really pissed off.
So
the reconfiguration pissed me off, but that meeting, like, where you have, like, really something they shouldn't be knowing better than us, and should know inside out. For that, like, it's really one of two possibilities. Either they really don't know, or they're feigning ignorance, and either way, that just really pushed the button for me, man. I was flipping out about that. Like, they couldn't even give it the respect of a discussion.
No.
I want to add on to that, because I think there was something very interesting that transpired following this whole communication between the board members that's important to note. Dr. Varley, I mean, so we've learned that she's a master manipulator, which is why she continues to get jobs as a superintendent. You know, I've sat in meetings with her, and she can answer on fly. She's good at it. And if you don't know that she's full of bullshit, you believe her. You know, her response to the proficiencies and our rankings, you know, she said two things which were just total insanity. The first of which was, you know, our kids went through a pandemic, which is why our scores were so low. But, you know, like, everyone went through a pandemic. The second was, only Berkeley Heights. The second was, as John Paul, you mentioned earlier, that our Algebra 1 is actually for 8th grade, and for most of other schools, it happens in the high schools. Again, the specific rankings that Dr. Foregger was discussing came from the Department of Education, and that that ranking came from information that our district provided to the Department of Education, because it has been founded to be one of the only ways to fairly compare the school districts in New Jersey. So it's just insane. And then the third thing was her throwing the student representative kind of under the bus, saying, you know, well, all of our students have told us that they don't take the SATs seriously because they're all into colleges, which is
How many AP students do we have,
I
right?
was flabbergasted when she
like,
said that. Like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it's the same argument that the Penna campaign made last year and tried to push us off. So, okay, so remove all the AP students. You're still left with the majority of the school. So what? The middle tier students don't count. The only students that matter are AP students.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for AP students, man. I'm 100% behind them. But first of all, I don't believe that all AP students give it up, and every school district has AP students. So that's not a variable, again, that's unique to us. I want to go to something. Hold on, let me go to the email. I sent the district an email today.
You sent them a lot of emails.
I've been sending them a lot of emails. I've sent them an email asking that from last year, asking Varley to do exactly what Dr. Foregger asked her to do 2 nights ago. It was the same question. I asked her to do the same thing a year ago. That number one. But let's go to the middle school stuff that Dr. Varley is sort of going into.
It's a big, sexy world. It's hard.
And I don't even know what the fuck that means. The really disappointing thing to this is that they're making this debate. It's not just about the proficiencies. There's a bunch of variables that go into this. One of them being student growth, which I don't fully understand yet. Where we're also talking about how a child is supposed to progress from grade to grade. We're not having any meaningful discussion about this, but she wants to talk about how CMS is doing so fantastic. Well, CMS, 31% proficient in science. 31% of the kids in CMS are proficient in science. 69% are not. In math proficiency on Algebra 1, our highlight, the great number that's really supposed to justify all this, 64 proficiency on Algebra 1. And on overall math, 66%. Those are the highest grade, yes, came from CMS. Those highest grades don't break a C, and it's a D and a C respectively on the rating ranking thing. Right?
Wait, ask you a question. Wasn't it 55% when she shared it in the meeting?
I think she was going by the yearbook. So she was probably referencing the report from 2 years ago or 3 years ago if she did that.
Right, because I remember, I think Dr. Foregger, probably him, he's like, so wait, we have a 50% proficiency in Algebra 1? And they were like, well, against the state standard, we're like 4% above.
Right. And the state standard just got lowered.
Right.
And so this was the argument that I was making last year. That like there were people that were saying, well, we're meeting the state standard. Well, the state standard, first of all, we're not, number one, at that time. And number two, the state standard sucks. And they lowered it again this year. They lowered the state standard. So the state standard isn't really a meaningful number. Now, the proficiency ratings, I think, are meaningful. Like the data driving these numbers is meaningful. But we shouldn't be saying that the target the state is defining is a good target.
Right. Exactly. A high proficiency school.
Yeah, I'm going to be publishing all this shit tomorrow or Monday or something. So I know I'm going off on a tangent. This was me on Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah, we were on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, I was so pissed. All right, I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, guys.
I
I fell asleep.
There was a parent that spoke but said something you've said here. I've heard you say it in meetings that we've been in together. To kind of tie this all in, that the focus has always been on the recognition of our student athletes, which are stellar in their own right. But this parent said, we hear about all the great accolades happening with our teams, but what about our kids? Like what's happening in the classroom? Why aren't we recognizing when we have students that are, placing out of AP exams or, so like the focus has been on the glitz and the glam of all the great accomplishments, but we're failing on the one thing we're supposed to do, which is education.
I don't think any board member did a good job that night. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I kind of did a cheeky email.
Oh, come on. Pam did so well.
No, I think Dr. Foregger made a mistake in bringing up merit scholarships. I don't think that's 12, 13, 14. That's a tiny fraction. Like that's the AP students, merit scholarships, SATs. Those are not the measures as to whether a school is performing. That's IQ. That's not schools. Right? Sorry. I love Tom, but I think he's wrong on that. Go ahead.
That's good. That's good.
What's next?
I don't know. I'm pissed. Could you guys talk about something so I don't stop screaming?
You want me to brief on township?
Yeah, brief us on the
Township.
township.
3942.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 20.
This whole episode is me screaming at Chewbacca. Go.
This is 42 minutes already.
Chewbacca hasn't moved all night.
I think I killed him. I think he's playing dead.
All
He's
right.
like, if this guy just want this guy to shut up.
So it's like it's at the townships. I showed you the pie chart before. They're dealing with a lot less over there, but they had a nominal increase. Like I think it was like 2.74% to properties. It turns out to be a $63 increase every year for somebody who owns a house is $350,000, which apparently is the average, which is insane. So I looked at the median price for houses in Berkeley Heights, and it's like $700,000. I'm like, that's more. I can't believe the average price is $350 a house.
Yeah,
Well,
that's valuation. That's valuation.
The assessed
valuation.
value, that still
Talk
may
to
be
the
a little
realtor.
bit low, but
Well,
the assessed value
realtor-
is 80% of market value.
Okay.
So it's
But
still a low number,
but it must also be that because people are sitting on tear downs and stuff like that, so they get assessed lower, and they haven't been assessed in a long time. So there's a couple things that go into that, right? But we know the median is probably a better number to look at, which is more like 750. So if you look at Realtor.com, it's 750. So I use Realtor.com. So I'll use what from now on, Shauna?
No, you're good.
Liker. Okay.
You're good.
All right.
No.
So they did pretty good. They're getting a lot of funds from grants and stuff like that. And here's something.
Keller Williams or something. What's it? I don't know.
Keller Williams. That's right.
That's the
plug
website
for
you
Keller
should go to.
Williams. Plug for Keller Williams. No. Okay. Here's something that's interesting to look out for. They've increased significantly the amount of grant money that we pull into town. I've worked on a couple and they're kind of interesting. It's a shitty system because I think it's already money that we've already paid for. But what you try to do is you try to grab it because it goes to other towns. Like for instance, the transportation set aside. It's a portion of transportation funds in which for roads and highways and stuff. They're like, oh, we'll put some bike lanes and stuff like that here. We just got awarded one. I think Berkeley Heights is going to get 1.2 million, and part of that is for Sherman Ave and a bike lane and a couple of other things. So we actually grabbed some of that money, luckily, because we're starting to apply for grants more than we have historically. So we're starting to hit numbers in grant recipient we haven't done before. Here's the other thing that we have actually started to do to get more revenue coming in is I believe we have a lobby group now. I think we're paying for lobbyists to go to Trenton, which at first, as a conservative, kind of quirks me. But I think it was done pretty agreeably because it sounds like that if you send a lobby down to Trenton for Berkeley Heights, they can get money and it's not grants, it's direct funding. Now the question is do strings come attached? What's the cons to this? That'll be yet to be seen. So that'd be something to watch. So I'd be curious to see that. And I don't know how many other towns do that, so I don't know how common it is, but it sounds like it's pretty common. So I owe you an article. I'm supposed to write one. It's coming.
This should have been submitted like on Wednesday.
Very busy person. Jesus. Wednesday? When?
Yeah, I actually think Tuesday.
So wait, so
Fucking
60 what? How many? What was it? 60? How many
For what?
cents?
Oh, so if you own a house that's like valued under $400,000, your increase was $63 a year.
Oh, $63. Okay, so then respectfully, the district is at what 205 with their bullshit that they put out to us. I mean, the budget they put out to us. So basically, tax.
No, he's talking about the municipal budget.
I know,
Well,
but I'm talking about adding that
which part of the
to
pie is it? So-
the school budget. So essentially, taxpayers are going up roughly what $265, $270.
No, it's $63 to the taxpayer per year. per house.
Right, but then the school district was 205, right? Originally it was 294, then they made their cuts and adjustments, and then it came back to 205.
So that's their part of the pie. We're 68 on the part. See this?
Right,
This is what I got to sort out before I write my article. Yeah, because
That you should have submitted on Tuesday.
I'm not putting out false information.
No. I mean, this should be clarified. I'm just doing simple math in my head.
The thing is, if you take a $350,000 home valuation and divide it by the basically 0.0274, which is the percentage of the increase, you don't get that number. So I want to make sure that when you read my article, you can basically do the math. You're like, okay, from point A to point Z.
Yeah, and then just throw in there
applies to the school
budget like increase as well, because I
so
think
the
it's
school
valuable.
budget increase to the taxpayer they said was over $200.
205 now, was 294.
So that's the thing, is they're cutting important shit at the schools and increasing the taxes. That's not happening.
Yeah, you're right.
Honors classes in
town
world
is not doing
languages.
So the town so basically I think if you look at the
They're
document,
teaching Italian and Russian in the same classroom.
yeah, that's gonna work. Or just combine the languages. But from the town aspect, is all I can basically find out is that we're not really getting further down the road on things we want to do. We're getting things fixed, like the sewer plant, the flare, the drainage is starting to be taken care of, and they're doing that with a minor increase, but they're not making really any cuts. There were want items that each department had that didn't make it, which is normal, but there's no real cuts on the township side. Not like the school, at least.
Right.
Here end of. All right, I'm done.
No, it's cool. Can I get back to ratings for 2 seconds, guys? Just 2 seconds. Okay. The other thing I want to say about ratings.
Can I talk about trees?
No, not today.
Is that there's going to be new data coming out, and I expect it to show an improvement, but I expect all schools to show an improvement. And what our district does sometimes is they take our data in a silo and they kind of present it. So let's imagine we have a 10 or 15% improvement this year. What we really should be waiting for is the comparisons to see where we are in relation to other schools. Because as kids transition more to in-person, so man, there better be an improvement, because just by virtue of kids having been in school more, there should just be a natural improvement in some of this shit that's going on that all schools will experience. I want to talk about one more thing, if you guys want to talk about this, like the and I didn't see too much of this, the assistant superintendent discussion.
Juicy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like what's going on is another shell game. Shauna, you said that at the end of the day, when they're throwing all this around, all we're doing is we're really just ending up saving like about $25K total. Is that right?
I don't know the amount.
Okay.
That was more an argument that I was making when they wanted to remove the 5 supervisors and make it 3 directors instead. That I was questioning whether they were really saving that $350,000. That was kind of more that. But this one thing that kind of threw me, and I know you guys said, no, this isn't the case, but initially it sounded to me like Dipti was arguing to keep Mary Beth's position, which kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, no, we want fewer assistant superintendents. And it almost sounded to me like Dipti was asking to keep Kopez.
I think what they were doing was trying to split the position. So they wanted to eliminate the position itself. But I think there was also some question as to whether or not legally, I don't know. I don't know the whole story about that. And I actually like Mary Beth, to be honest. I mean, I think that position should be gone. I actually have nothing against Mary Beth. And if she ended up being our superintendent, I think we would have had a better life here. So it's really, this has nothing to do with Mary Beth. And in fact, I don't have anything really against Dr. Greer. I don't know him. This is about the positions themselves and whether they're necessary, I think. I don't know what the weeds were in that discussion. I doubt that Dipti thinks that we need 2 assistant superintendents. So go ahead, Todd.
So I just have a quick question about that, and I found the Mary Beth dismissal very odd because I mean, Varley's whole pet project petri dish for our town was to redistrict the schools and create this 2 through 5. We needed 2 buildings to do this, add FDK, which was irrelevant. We all know that. Could have been added without the
reconfiguration. Grade 5 at U, 69% proficient on math.
So she pitched all this BS that, we're her petri dish. We all recognize that. And then like she was very much touting the fact that she needed Mary Beth Kopaz, who was the selected one at that time, to lead this young childhood education, which included full day kindergarten. And that was the big push, remember. So now fast forward a year and a half, basically Mary Beth Kopaz is being dismissed based on budget cuts, and now she doesn't need
I think she's resigning. I thought she was resigning.
Yeah, sure she is.
I think forced out personally. Now I can't validate that. That's an opinion, but yeah. But
I'm with Todd on
regardless,
that.
and
I'm
then
totally with Todd.
Okay, so whatever it is, position's vacated, and she's not looking to replace it after she made such a big deal.
She is.
About the fact that, but they're not replacing it with another assistant superintendent. They're replacing it with a director. Am I wrong?
That's right.
No, you are
right.
not wrong.
You're not
Right.
wrong.
So now they don't need that senior level of but this is her thing, and like this was so important. And I just I don't know.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Part of
So
me-
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Part of me feels like Mary Beth was a threat to Melissa because she answered emails, she engaged in conversations that were difficult with parents, she had answers, she was respectful.
Theory.
I feel like she was a threat to Melissa because she was, and I enjoyed working with her. I think she is probably, and again, I don't know Dr. Greer at all. I would venture to say of the three superintendents, Mary Beth was clearly superior. And she was doing a really good job.
I enjoyed working with Dr. Varley.
Go
I
figure.
did.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm not going to get into it. Like I liked Mary Beth. I'm not going to.
I will. I think she was pushed out. I'll say it. I think
I
she
don't
was
know.
pushed
Yeah,
out.
that's what I said.
I went there. Take
Yeah,
it.
I already
Yeah.
said that. Like, it's pretty clear, and
I
it's
don't-
not. It's too
One
bad
thing
because
I will say,
once again, here goes Varley. Anyone who's against the grain, or for that matter, any tenured teacher who's not fitting the mold, she'll just say, "Well, they've moved on, and we'll replace you with the fresh out of school teacher." That,
I didn't find Mary Beth to be rebellious. I mean, I didn't find her to be.
No. I don't think she was rebellious. Look, she had to be part of the river flow, if you will, to get the whole reconfiguration done. And she probably felt pretty good about being given this new project and, write her own ticket for, besides the Kenai Peninsula, we finally have a school district who, has this K-2 configuration. So I'm sure she felt, she was aligned in some regard and somewhere deviated, in my
Was
opinion.
Kovacs part of that? I don't remember. Was
Yes.
she part of? Yeah, she
Yes,
was.
dude.
Yeah.
She was ingrained in MKM and then immediately kind of extrapolated to this role once the reconfiguration happened. And then she was given the promotion, which I remember we discussed. I don't think on this forum, but we had discussed that. Oh, they're going to promote Mary Beth to be the supervisor of the kindergarten, the K-5 realm. I would say ages,
Wow.
whatever.
And then I guess the next thing I'd like to talk about, the last thing I think we're going to talk about is sort of how, and Shauna, your article was excellent. The hilarity of, yeah, like so they manufacture this belief that working in committees is the best thing. Like, so you have the SBA. Again, the SBA, honestly, is just more and more full of shit. They just manufacture these theories on how things should be done. There's no empirical evidence that committees make things better. Our town doesn't have committees.
No, but it's how to be secret. You could work in secrecy when you're on a committee because
That's
use
the
committee
reason,
as
yeah.
your curtain, right?
Go ahead, Shauna.
No, but the slide that the NJSBA representative showed specifically said you don't have to have separate committees. That you can have the board meet as
as a whole.
committee of the whole.
Yeah, but a verbal opinion during that, she said something that pissed me off about committees, about like how they were more effective or it'd be better to do it in
No.
committees. No, she didn't. Okay. All right, then.
I missed that.
No, then you're probably right. Cause I'm 10 minutes into it. I'm already disassociating with anger. But this whole idea that man, they really just want to keep shit in committees. You had I think I think actually it was just Pam that really was making that point. I don't think anybody else was really driving that home, were they?
Hold on, I do have some input on that, and that's a common theme I heard when I was talking to people. Some of them from the Board of Ed, they're like the problem they had with Tom and with Cy was that they would ask the questions in committee, and then they would come to the public hearing and ask the same questions, and that annoyed them.
But that's what they should. That's what
Cy.
But the SBA say that's what you should do.
Right, because the public's not there, and the minutes don't reflect what's happening in the board meeting. So, like, if I'm Cy and I'm a pain in the ass, I'm gonna ask the question.
Cy wasn't like, you know what? No, wait, John, no, wait. So first of all, Cy was probably the most polite, respectful board member on there.
I'm talking about from their side of view.
I get it, but I want people to go to the board meetings, and I want them to watch Cy. I'm so tired of her having this reputation.
That's what I'm saying.
She was nothing but civil on those meetings.
So this what I'm saying is that they're saying that she's a pain in the ass for doing it. So from their point of view, they're repeating the question.
But no one ever confirmed that. That's an opinion, right?
What do you mean?
That we feel that they thought Cy was a pain in the ass because we know she's not, but that is very evident in the way they reacted.
No, she is. Wait, hold on. She is a pain in the ass, right? That's true. But she wasn't a pain in the ass during the board meetings. I'm a pain in the ass.
If you're
I'm actually more pain in the ass in meetings. If anybody's a pain in the ass in meetings, it's me.
This is the problem.
For example, Exhibit A right now. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you're killing me.
Ass is on fire with you right now.
If you're threatened by what she's saying, she's a pain in the ass. That's the point. That's the problem. But the thing is, I heard this as a theme. This is the theme as to why they were annoyed by her, because she was asking the same question in committee, which is not necessarily translated clearly to the public. In minutes only, you can't get a clear understanding there. And Cy knows that. So she asked the same question in public so that we can see what she's asking, and Cy can make a case as to what they're saying.
And look at how they treat Tom and Dipti in public. I can't imagine what goes on in private.
Yeah.
To somehow think that committees are going to work after this retreat. I wouldn't go to that retreat, man. If I were Tom and Dipti, I would take out life insurance if I were Tom and Dipti before going on that retreat.
What's the retreat?
I don't know. I think it's going to be.
It's a public retreat. It has to be public.
I'm going.
Is the retreat happening in Ocean City, New Jersey? Because I think they love Melissa down there.
I'm gonna have one-on-ones with people at this retreat.
Why is the picture on the title article not Melissa Varley in that? And then you see a picture of her back only at the end.
Wait! I have a title.
What the hell's up with that?
Varley. Let's go with this.
Oh no!
Vote or no confidence. Varley's looking for a job. We're still supporting
signs.
person who has 1 foot out the door.
Wait.
Whoa.
So
I contacted the newspaper, by the way. I'll let you know when I get a reply.
Ocean
Oh, you
12
did?
or whatever it was?
Yeah.
The one where she wrote the article on being an expert on diversity
her
or
PR
whatever.
person wrote the article
Someone
and
in
submitted
town told me this, and I'm like, really? So
Yeah.
we have a superintendent who's looking for a job with 1 foot out the door.
Guys,
and
we don't know.
We're still no, come on.
Just hearsay.
That's just hearsay.
It's real. It's real. It's real.
Todd
There
has
is
literally interviewed her for Ocean City, New Jersey. Like, let it happen, guys.
Wow, it's funny.
But guys, look, first of all, if she's looking for a job, don't
Todd's
fuck it up.
connection's compromised.
Like, why
No,
would
let
you
her
fuck it up?
go.
He's
Like,
gone.
why would you fuck that up?
What
Just
did
let it
I
happen.
fuck up? I didn't fuck anything up. I'm just saying, why the hell is our board still supporting her when this news, this information is out there in public? I was at a bar last night and someone said to me, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "Really? Really? I had no clue."
Okay.
That's why I printed my sign.
So there's a good question that came up is what, like if the board is defending her, they're on the defense for her. Why? How are they? I'm done.
You log off.
It is what it is.
You didn't even spell that
Spiraling
right.
down
Awful.
really quickly.
There you go.
Donna,
Like,
I wish you had the
People are going to need
pirate.
to drop acid before they watch this episode.
We're gonna get
Like,
120
the only way this
views on
episode
one.
makes sense is if you're high.
Seriously.
Probably
I
not
need to
even
play
that.
it backwards.
Superintendent's
Todd,
put
your
out
sign-
the
Some
board
kind of
right
weird
now, and our
mushroom
board
from
is
Brazil.
still supporting
your
her.
sign has a
I got an issue
typo.
with that. I got an issue.
There's a typo. It's bugging me.
I'm pissed off too.
Yeah, I know what it is. Still, it's still.
All right, I'm gonna go to bed. Ew, oh my god.
Can we talk about trees?
No, I'm going to
Yeah,
bed.
yeah, go ahead.
No, there's
No,
a
I'm just
bug
kidding. I'm
trapped between my tent and my fly, and it's making a huge amount of noise, and it's bugging me.
I think
I have to go
John Hall, did you
I
write
think
Mother's Day
I dropped the
poem for
biggest
us? Do you want
controversy
me
here
to-
tonight is that Berkeley Heights is in the lobbying great game in Trenton. So that's all I got. It's not as exciting as.
What?
All
Pay
right,
attention,
let's
Tom.
go. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day,
to
everybody.
Shauna and all the moms
Thank
out there.
you.
We might not even
Agreed.
publish it because all it is screaming and putting up signs.
Oh,
John just
John's
left.
gone.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Good
All right,
night.
Peace
later,
out.
guys. Bye. I know what a clusterfuck. Just leave.